there! I'm here today to talk to you about how to find motivation in life and live to your fullest potential. Have you ever had a problem getting motivated? The trap many people find themselves in is they think that they have to feel motivated in order to get started. So they say, I'm not feeling up to it, or I just don't feel like it, I'm tired, or I think I'm just going to wait for the motivation to start. But this is not what you want to do. The reason is that you have to figure out how to move through the resistance in order to get the result you want. So stay tuned and listen to this video, and I will share 4 tips on how to find yourself motivated. But before I do, I want to introduce myself. I'm Wendy Johnson, a transformational life coach, and I help women overcome their challenges and live an intentional life on purpose with more joy, peace of mind, and well-being. So back to the problem of motivation is people wait and they procrastinate and they put off their life and they're on hold waiting to get motivated. And first I want to talk to you about what is motivation exactly. Motivation is the desire or the willingness of someone to do something. And I have 4 tips for you to get you to find that motivation so that you can accomplish everything you want and live to your fullest potential. So tip number 1 is to start with your why. The first thing I do when I find myself unmotivated is to go back to my why. Why is my fuel? Why am I doing this? Why does this matter to me? What is this intrinsic value that is so important that I want to keep going no matter how I feel and no matter what obstacles are in the way? So what is your why is the first tip that you want to do. Your why drives you internally, and it has nothing to do with anything externally. How much money you make, how much success, or any other exterior motive. It's everything that is driving you inside. And tip number 2 is to imagine the consequence of not doing it. What pain will you feel if you don't do it? I get really down and I feel disappointed in myself if I tell myself I'm going to do something. And I don't like that feeling, and I don't like having the feeling of anxiety and shame and disappointment or embarrassment. And tip number 3 is to imagine the rewards. What pleasure will you feel if you show up? Bask in that feeling of accomplishment. What will you feel like if you motivate yourself to complete what you've started? One of my favorite quotes is from the book War of Art. And to paraphrase, Steve Pressfield says, at some point the pain of not doing it becomes greater than the pain of doing it. In other words, what he's saying is it's easier to change than to stay the same. And it's easier to take action and feel insecure, say you're not showing up at the gym. It's easier to show up at the gym and feel the pain rather than the not going and the feeling of loathing and being lazy and sitting on the couch. And it's easier to feel awkward to give a speech rather than going ahead and just going ahead and doing it and feeling awkward. And you would feel disappointed if you didn't do it. So that is tip number 3. And I think that is the essence of motivation, that every choice has a price. And when we're motivated, it's easier to bear the inconvenience of action than the pain of remaining the same. Somehow we cross that mental threshold, usually after weeks of procrastination and in the face of some impending deadline that we have given ourselves or that is required outside of us. It usually becomes more painful not to do it than the work to actually do it, the discomfort of moving through that pain of motivation to get to the other side. And tip number 4 is to get started in a small way. One of the surprising things about motivation is that it often comes after the behavior, not before. So you can't wait for motivation to strike. We have this common misconception that motivation arrives as a result of reading an inspiring book or listening to an inspiring video, but it's actually the result of action. And again, it's the momentum, it's the just getting started that's the hard part. And then the motivation, you don't need as much motivation once you've started. And it has a lot to do with the physics of productivity, the Newton's first law. The object in motion stays in motion. And once a task has begun, it's easier to continue to move forward and to stay on track. So just to recap of the video, motivation begins inside. It's an internal process, and it's a drive or a need for each of us to change, the desire that we have to all continue to grow. And the 4 tips to find your motivation and live your life to the full potential is tip number 1, start with your why. Tip number 2, imagine the consequence of not doing it. What would the pain be? Imagine the reward. What would the pleasure be? And so that's number 3. And number 4, make it easy to get started. Motivation follows action. And to further help you, I have a free guide for you, the 10 Principles to Design a Life You Love. And you can gain clarity and motivation to continue to reach your goals. And you can find your copy below. And if you found this video helpful, please give me a thumbs up. Please let me know in the comments what you're doing to stay motivated. I would love to hear from you. And if you know of anybody who would benefit from this, please do share it with a friend. And I am looking forward to being back here again next week. And until then, here's to you and your success.